Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are talking directly to you, the aspiring leader. You know who you are. You've got this massive vision, a real drive to make a big impact, but right now, you feel entirely stuck. You're watching everyone else step into the exact influence you've been working so hard for. Well, you are in the right place. We're unpacking a brilliant source that is literally going to flip how we view this waiting season.
Okay, let's dive into this, because there's a really painful, quiet internal monologue that almost every driven person faces, right? Why is this taking so long? You've prayed for the opportunity, you've worked incredibly hard, and yet the exact thing you're striving for feels bolted shut. It's so validating to just acknowledge up front that, hey, this hurts. Our source material shares a highly relatable reality check about someone feeling incredibly stuck. There was a young woman who deeply believed she was called to lead a huge organization. She prayed constantly for that big door to open. But the reality? In her current, smaller role, she was actually struggling. We're talking missed deadlines, actively avoiding awkward emails, you know the drill. Then, her mentor asked a really hard question. If you were given the team you're praying for today, would they experience clarity or confusion under your current leadership? Wow, that question stopped her cold. She realized the passion was definitely there, but the execution? It just wasn't.
And that brings us to the absolutely crucial paradigm shift of this explainer. When we're stuck, we usually just see delay, right? And delay just breeds massive frustration. But the source challenges us to reframe this entirely. What if it's development? God is not reacting to your urgency with a delay, He's responding to your readiness with development. What you are calling a delay, heaven is calling preparation. When you shift your mindset from being delayed to being developed, I promise you, that frustration really starts to lose its grip.
So what exactly is being developed? Well, it's capacity. The source defines this as the ability to carry what is released to you without breaking, mismanaging, or misrepresenting it. You aren't just hoping for a fleeting moment of success, you're asking for a whole new level of responsibility. And every single new level requires the internal capacity to actually sustain it.
The author leans heavily on a really powerful biblical metaphor here. No one puts new wine into old wineskins. The new wine must be put into new wineskins. The fascinating insight is that the new wine, the promotion or the influence, is not the issue. The container is. God isn't withholding the opportunity. He's actively taking the time to strengthen you as the vessel so you don't literally burst under the pressure when the new wine finally comes.
Because ultimately, leadership is stewardship. Before your territory can be expanded, your integrity has to be deepened. Think about it. If you were handed the massive platform you want right now, but your character wasn't built to sustain it, that platform would eventually crush you. You absolutely have to be built to steward the responsibility properly.
Looking at how this plays out historically, the journey of Joseph is a perfect example. Step 1 was the dream. He saw himself in leadership, but the path was definitely not a straight line. Step 2 was brutal betrayal, and Step 3 was the prison. For years, it looked like a massive, agonizing delay, but it was actually hidden work. That intense pressure refined him, so by the time he reached Step 4, the palace, he had the true capacity to sustain his authority. Because think about the stakes of just skipping that preparation. We run straight into the danger of premature promotion. If every ambition was answered immediately, a lot of us would step into spaces we are wildly unprepared for. That pressure exposes undeveloped areas and almost always leads to severe burnout or just a total leadership collapse.
Now, a really comforting takeaway from the text is this: God's timing is not punishment, it is protection. The source suggests that you are not behind. Instead, you're actually being protected from being crushed by premature wait. The waiting season isn't wasted time at all, it's working time.
Which brings us to our next section, the action plan for developing in the wait. Let's look at how to practically do this.
The source provides 3 highly specific ways to build this personal capacity. Number 1 is to forge consistent discipline. Can you do what's required even when you just don't feel inspired? Number 2 is to deepen hidden integrity. Ask yourself, can your private life actually support your public assignment? And number 3 is to cultivate emotional maturity. When the pressure hits, can you handle it without reacting poorly? This is the vital, unseen work done in the dark.
As you do that work, the text suggests a fundamental shift in how we measure success. It's so tempting to measure our lives by external progress, chasing positions, visibility, and fast movement. But true capacity is found in internal growth. Your character,
your obedience, and that unseen transformation. The insight here is to stop chasing frantic external energy and measure your progress by the grounded internal growth that guarantees you'll succeed when you finally get the job.
So how do we actually close this gap? The action steps are super clear. Step 1, stop resisting the process and lean into it. Step 2, focus on who you are becoming rather than what you are acquiring. And Step 3, say yes to development. Every new level of influence requires a new yes to discipline, growth, and correction.
I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought from the source. Due time is prepared time. Are you ready? Don't spend your waiting season just constantly looking at the clock. Actively build the vessel so that when the time finally comes, your capacity has caught up with your calling. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we will see you next time.